Hi, I'm Dr. Deb, and I'm back today to introduce the next phase of the research model, the results. If you recall, Peruganen and Hewitt described the four-stage IMRD structure in their article, How to Read a Scientific Article. The R in this structure stands for results, which is where the researchers explain what they found during their research process from their participants. In this section, the researchers state the results of what they ask their participants to do, often in some type of visual format: chart, graph, table, figure, etc. In other words, they are showing what or how the participants responded, so this section is a summary of that activity. Each researcher must decide how to best display this information in the most understandable and most efficient way possible. So there's no single one way to create a results section. Also, one other thing to keep in mind is that these results sections often contain highly specialized vocabulary and statistical methods. These research papers are written for other researchers who are familiar with the terminology and techniques used, and are not written for beginning level college students. So don't be worried if you don't know what they're talking about. I've had research and statistics classes, and I don't know a lot of what they talk about. And on a side note, your results are going to be much simpler and much easier to understand. So let's look at an example of a results section of a research paper. On pages 445 to 448, Bartolomeo Maida describes the results of her study in the article, The Use of Learning Journals to Foster Textbook Reading in the Community College Psychology class. She has two different results sections, which most researchers don't do. She includes the quantitative findings, or the statistical numerical results, with two tables, one with the amount of hours students reported reading for class per week, and one with the reasons the students gave for not reading. These two tables are fairly easy to understand and are compiled from the questionnaire the students submitted as part of this study. Bartolomeo Maida also explains the results in the tables in words with statistical data as well. Then she includes qualitative findings. These are the written responses from 41 participants for the last 4 items on the survey. Obviously, Bartolomeo Maida doesn't give every response from all 41 students, but she does give a brief overview of the responses and how the responses fit in with the quantitative data. She then provides 4 prompts from the Learning Journal assignments with student responses from students who did well on the assignments. This is done to show the benefit of these assignments in building critical thinking skills. So what does this mean for you and your project? At this point, remember that your research question is, how do students become successful academic performers in college? You've already located some college graduates to use as participants in your study, and you created a survey or questionnaire or interview with questions to determine what these graduates did to become successful academic performers in college. You've administered the survey or questionnaire or completed the interview, and you have your responses. So now you're ready to do your results section. How you report your findings is ultimately up to you, but they should be easy to read and understand. You should also compile the responses so it's easy to compare and contrast the responses from each participant. For example, you can have participant 1 and report all of participant 1's answers, and then participant 2 and report all of participant 2's answers. Or you can report the first question you asked and report all of the responses from all of your participants. This second method allows your reader to see exactly how the responses are similar and or different. If you have qualitative data, which is written responses, you can report exactly what was written by each participant, or you can summarize longer passages with just the main ideas. If you have close-ended questions, those with just a yes or a no answer, you may decide to show the data collected in a graph or table form. Whichever way you decide to report your data, you want to make sure that it's easy to read and understand. You can also include brief explanations of how you compiled the data if it helps your reader. So let's do a quick review. The results section includes an explanation of the results from the research process. It is a summary of the participants' responses. Each researcher decides how best to convey this information, but one has to ensure that they are understandable and appropriately organized for the intended audience. This wraps up the results section of the research process. Stay tuned for future videos on the final step of the process, discussion.